In this video, I'm going to give you a Google Ads tip that can double or more your results if you meet certain criteria as a Google advertiser. It's very quick and easy to implement. Let's get into it. Okay, so what is this Google Ads tip? Well, it's very simply to switch all keywords to exact match. Now, I know that might sound quite shocking. It's not the typical advice that you'd hear, but I have seen in multiple circumstances now taking that action and seeing a significant improvement in results. But before you just run off and go ahead and do that, I do want to make it very clear that this only wants to be done if you meet certain criteria and your ad account and your business falls into the right category, meets the right circumstances to be able to take advantage of that. And that's what I'm going to run through in this video, whether you should or shouldn't do this, because if it is applicable to you, you might see a massive improvement in results. Like I said, I've seen that happen a number of times. If you're not familiar, by the way, with different keyword match types, exact match being one of them, phrase match, broad match being the other options, then I'll include a link in the video description to another video that explains keyword match types and what they mean and how they work and all that sort of thing. Now, the default match type, if you're just adding in keywords, you think, I don't even know what match type I'm using in my Google ad campaigns. If you're just adding in keywords into your search campaigns, they are going to be added in by default as broad match. And I'm not often a fan of broad match because I think most Google advertisers, particularly beginners, they enter in their keywords, they enter them in as broad match without realizing, because if you don't put brackets or quotation marks around your keywords, it'll just be broad match. And they think that their ads are only going to be shown to people that search for things that are very, very similar or identical to their keywords. And if you're using broad match, that is not the case at all. Your ads are going to be put in front of all sorts of searches, some very closely related and very relevant to the keywords that you entered, some not so relevant, and some completely irrelevant. And a lot of Google advertisers had this experience where they use broad match and they run a campaign, they come back, they check their search terms report, which shows all the searches that have caused your ads to be shown, that have led to clicks, led to conversions, etc., and they're shocked. And they think, really? Those searches caused my ads to be shown? But someone searching for that's never going to go through and buy. The fact that my ad was put in front of that person and then they clicked on it, of course it didn't convert. That's just a complete waste of money. I don't want to go ahead and use that. So for that reason, for a while now, I've primarily been recommending use exact match, which is the most specific keyword match type, and phrase match, which falls in between the two, okay? But the problem even with that advice is that Google has changed the way match types operate. So it used to be that exact match, your ads would only show to someone that searched for exactly that keyword. Not really anymore. It's going to be significantly broader than that. Phrase match used to be that someone had to have your keyword in its entirety included as part of the search. Maybe they add a bit of information on at the end, maybe they add a bit of information on at the beginning, like adding in a location, for example, or something like that. And that was how it operated, and then broad match was broader. But all the keyword match types have become broader. So phrase match now operates quite similarly to how broad match used to operate a few years ago. So because of that, we're having to, in some circumstances, again, I'll explain those in a minute, make things tighter and bring in those match types to adjust to the changes that Google have made. Because even for a lot of advertisers now, phrase match is going to be too broad. It's going to lead to your ads being shown to searches that are just not relevant enough and are unlikely to convert. Like a good example would be phrase match can now lead to a lot of competitor search terms causing your ads to appear. And some advertisers like targeting their competitors' keywords. So someone's directly searching for one of your competitors. Do you want your ad to pop up or not? I think unless you are actively pursuing that as a strategy, you've really thought it through and you have a clearly, demonstrably better product or service that you can explain very quickly and easily in a Google ad, you don't want to do that because it's a waste of money, because people are looking for that other company. They're almost certainly going to buy from them or hire them or sign up to their software, whatever it is, right? As opposed to yours. If you advertise on that keyword, you can end up getting some exposure, you can end up getting some clicks. Often those clicks are accidental because they wanted to come through to the other company, and it's an easy way to waste a lot of money. There are some specific circumstances where you can use that strategy. Like I said, you have a software that's just as good as your competitors, but it's 1/10 of the price, and you can make that really clear and look to sort of steal some of their customers and their potential customers. But most businesses don't want to do that. If you're not actively pursuing that strategy and you just use phrase match, we're now seeing loads of competitor, and again, this is going to vary depending on industry. There's more of this than others where people are actively searching for the names of specific brands, for example. But we're now seeing with regular phrase match keywords a lot more competitor search terms causing your ads to show, it's a waste of money in many cases, and you're not going to go ahead and convert. Okay, I'm going to explain when you should and shouldn't make this change to exact match in a second. Before, I just want to quickly let you know about our done-for-you Google Ad services. So my company can create, manage, and optimize your Google Ad campaigns. We can take that workload off your hands if you're doing it yourself, and almost certainly get you significantly better results as well. We've spent tens of millions on the platform, worked with clients in countries all over the world. We've worked in just about every industry you can think of, and very much experienced, very much know what we're doing. So if that sounds like a good idea, something you want to explore, there is a link in the video description below. You can click on that, come through to a page on our website, book in a free, no obligation call with one of my team members to find out more about how we might be able to help. There's a good chance they're going to be able to tell you about a client that we've worked on that's similar to you and been able to get great results for, and to give you confidence to go ahead, of course. So yeah, so if that sounds interesting, then go ahead and book a free call, and hopefully we get a chance to work together. So when should you make this change? When should you make the change to adjust your keywords to only targeting them on an exact match basis exclusively? Okay, so there's a few criteria that you need to meet. Firstly, you need to have reasonable search volume. If you are struggling to get your ads in front of enough searches, to get enough clicks, to get conversions, you're already using some of the broader match types like phrase and broad. If you go ahead and just go with exact, that's going to limit the potential number of searches your ads can be put in front of. And if you don't have the search volume to justify that, it might not be the right way to go. It might actually make your campaigns more profitable still from a return on ad spend standpoint, but if that reduces the overall number of leads and reduces the overall number of sales that you generate significantly, maybe that's not the right call for your business. Lots of businesses, however, do meet the criteria that there's plenty of search volume, more than they could ever put their ads in front of anyway, so bringing things down and going with exact match in that scenario is absolutely fine. I also think that this technique of using exact match only is more important for newer ad accounts, those that don't have much conversion volume, okay? If you do have reasonable conversion volume, you've got hundreds, thousands of conversions already within your ad account, and this is really important, and you are optimizing for the more sophisticated bidding strategies, so things like maximize conversions or maximize conversions value, where Google is going to try and optimize your campaign to get you as many leads or get you as many sales, or even better with conversion value, get you the most valuable customers possible, then it's less important to manually take control of the sort of keyword match type process and narrow things down, because Google has the data, you're optimizing correctly, therefore Google can go out and go, yeah, this search term that this person's searching for isn't quite right in terms of like what this business would ideally want their ads to be put in front of, but we know based on this person's other activity that they're actually a really good prospect right now, and we want to put an ad in front of them and see if we can get them to convert. So I'm happy to include phrase match and broad match keywords, typically in ad accounts that have more data, that are more seasoned. So for a lot of our clients, for example, we will use not just exact match, but also phrase and broad for that exact reason, right? They have conversion data, Google knows what it's looking for. We're optimizing for the right thing. Really, really important. You're optimizing for conversions, maximize conversions, or maximize conversions value, or something along those lines. Target ROAS, for example, and would also apply, right? So that Google can optimize, okay? So just wanted to make that clear. And another criteria where I would be really actively pushing, narrowing things down to just exact match would be if you can't track conversions. So let's say you're sending people to like a third-party website or something like that, where you can't actively track how many leads or sales are generated and what those leads and sales are worth value-wise to your business. That's going to force you to use a bidding strategy like maximize clicks or something else, right? And in that scenario, you can't trust Google to find people that perhaps aren't searching for quite the right thing but are likely to convert, because Google's not even trying to get you conversions in that scenario. They're just trying to get you clicks or whatever it is that you've selected. So in those scenarios, very important to tighten things up. So we tighten things up in those scenarios, not just from a keyword match type standpoint, bringing things down to exact match, but also from what keywords we're even willing to target in the first place. Of course, most businesses can track conversions, but their data is nowhere near as accurate as it could be if they aren't using Hyros. Hyros is fantastic tracking and attribution software and can really help you improve your Google Ad results. It's a software that all the big players in the industry use, including myself. I use it to track results for my own ads across multiple platforms, including Google Ads, and all my organic results as well, which is super helpful. So if someone, for example, comes through and books a call for our done-for-you services, I can see exactly where that person came from. This is particularly important if you're running ads across multiple channels or generating customers organically as well. Without accurate data, you are flying blind, and knowledge is power. So if you want to improve the performance of your Google ad campaigns and be able to see exactly where your leads and sales are coming from, go ahead and sign up to Hyros. There is a link in the video description. I also think this technique of using exact match keywords exclusively is more valuable and more important for B2B businesses or those that operate within niche markets. So if we take the B2B example, if you think of the construction industry, right, there are lots of products that can be bought in small quantities or a very basic version by end consumers, let's say like for residential properties. Or there's the other end of the market, which are big businesses that are going to buy in bulk. And if your business wants to advertise to the business end of that market, like, oh no, we don't want to mess around with anything small and residential, we only work with big businesses that are going to buy tons of these in bulk. Well, you really don't want to use things like phrase match and broad match, where Google's going to take the keywords that you're targeting and sort of broaden them out and put your ads in front of searches that are relevant to those, because you're very easily going to drift into, in that scenario, the B2C side of your industry. Perhaps in that case, when it comes to construction type stuff, the residential end as opposed to, the commercial end. And that might be a complete waste of time for your business. If you're not geared up to serve those people, they're not going to convert. Perhaps they're too small, you don't want to. That's a really good example of where you'd want to do this and just focus on B2B market. You could say the same with some niche markets as well, where no, we only really cater to this specific industry. We don't want Google to be flexible with our keywords and start putting ads in front of people that are searching for things that are similar, but actually you can't serve them because it's not quite right. It's not quite your lane if you are very specific and very niched. One thing I will actually say about this as well that you should watch out for is that if you make this change, you meet some of the criteria I've talked about, you think this is going to be great for me, you make this change, Google will not like it. You will see lots of recommendations saying you're missing out on search volume, you're missing out on potential customers. If you've done this purposefully along the lines of what I've described and you think based on what I've said, this is going to be good for your business, ignore those warnings, don't worry about that, and take a look at your data. Look not just at the top of funnel data like clicks and things like that, but also what do your conversions look like? Is the campaign more profitable if you want to make this change and give this a go after you make this change? Yes or no? Not just cost per lead, by the way, but also do those leads convert better because we're now getting leads from a higher quality audience is definitely something to look out for. So a lot of Google Ads recommendations are good, not all of them. When you're making changes like this that are very purposeful to help improve results, then this is one that I would look to ignore when you go ahead and see that pop up. And if you want more information on how to get the best Google Ad results possible, I'd recommend that you check out this video. In it, I explain my strategic approach to Google advertising, how you want to start, what you want to move to, how to get the best results possible over time and as things change within your ad account. So if you haven't already, go ahead and give this a watch.